Stop selling your time. That's the goal of this class. Stop selling your time. So most people have a job, and what they're doing is they're selling their time, let's say per hour, per week, you have to be there and work for somebody else, and they pay you so that you give up your dream and fulfill theirs. That's kind of a little bit harsh. But what I want to help you do is escape out of that. So how are we going to do that? What you need to do is you need to develop assets, either one big asset or a whole bunch of small assets. So a bunch of small assets could be things like dumpster rental. It could be porta potty rental. It could be wedding tent rental. That's one possible path. There's another path called rank and rent. There's digital real estate, in which case you build up electronic lead generation websites and you don't actually do any of the work. So imagine that you owned a maid service company and you didn't actually ever clean a house, not once. Instead, you found talented people who are really good at cleaning houses. Maybe they wanted side hustle money and they do it in the evening. Maybe they're full-time cleaners, but they're not that good at online marketing. Do you think your plumber is really good at posting TikTok videos? TikTok right now is really good for attention, especially in young people. Now, if you're after homeowners, let's say that are 42 years old, I'd use Facebook. TikTok tends to skew young, but that's an example of the kind of thinking that you need to do. So if you're going to be a business owner, this will allow you to quit your day job if you build up a company. So every company, what happens is at the beginning, they're wearing like 17 hats. You're wearing all the hats. Then you hire somebody and you give them 5 hats, and you hire one other person, you give them 5 hats. You still have 4 hats yourself. And each one of you are still wearing a bunch of hats, doing a bunch of different things. And over time, you hire more and more people, and if the person's wearing 5 hats, you take away 2 of their hats and you give it to somebody else. And you hire specialists. So you can do that via outsourcing. Now you can do some of that via AI. You can also do that via virtual assistants. You could do that via, there's a bunch of different ways, right? It doesn't have to always be in-house full-time talent. So I want to help you set up an asset that makes you money instead of selling your time. Now, the fact that you have a day job is awesome because you do need some money. You don't need a lot, but you need some. Meaning, how much do you need? Okay, so domains cost $9.83. I think if you're watching this video, you can probably afford $9.83 for a domain. And that's for your online real estate, like yoursite.com, right? Something like that. I'll even show you how to find better class of one, oftentimes for $69, like a company that went out of business and has traffic, it has backlinks, it's already ranked on Google Maps, and you can sometimes go in and buy them. Perfectly good domains and good company names, they're not always gone, for $69 using a system called Snap Names. We're going to talk about that and why you'd want to spend $69 instead of $9.83. It's because you're basically buying a site that already has a bunch of SEO juice, right? And it already ranks and it already has some business coming in. By doing that kind of thing, that's an example of online digital real estate. I'm going to show you how to flip domains, how to develop domains, how to basically be an online real estate developer. So let's back up. Let's talk a little bit about the class itself. So first I want to cover just the basics, right? So the basics are things like rank and rent. That's like imagine building a shopping mall, or you could build, let's say, lawncare.com. Obviously that one's going to be gone, but it could be something like hangmytv.com, some super niche specific sort of website that all you do is hanging people's TVs on the wall. And then you partner with a bunch of handyman and say, every time I sell a job, I get $22. And lead comes in, order comes in, it's in Chicago. Okay, great. Who's my Chicago guy? You just got to get them the order. It's pretty much that simple. Now, in some cases, there's other weirder businesses, like let's say crime scene cleanup. That's one that I'm in personally. And crime scene cleanup is more reactive, but it's also very high margin, right? A typical cleaning job might be $16,000, and it's gruesome, but it's an example. Do I go out there and cleaning? No, I'm not the one actually doing the cleaning. We have people that are trained for that and wear the appropriate equipment. It's a whole thing. So this is an example. What I want to help you do is set up an asset that pays you instead of your time. And the fact that you have a day job is great because you need a little bit of the money, and maybe what you need is a little bit of time. How much time do you need? About the amount of time as a football game. Could you give up the amount of time of one football game per week? Maybe it's like a couple episodes of TV. If you want success and you can afford that amount of time, a small amount of money, then this might be right for you. So what we'll do is we'll cover the basics. We'll talk about rank and rent. We'll talk about drop servicing. That's where you do, let's say, the maid company, and you're not the one out there cleaning. You have to hire maids, and then you get the order, and you bridge the two, and you make some money in the middle. That's drop servicing. There's audience building. So you can do things like just build a newsletter or a podcast or a YouTube channel. We can kind of give you some of the resources. This isn't really that class. If you just want to build a YouTube channel, there's other people that have better classes. This is not that. But if you put that together, if you already have an audience, or if you wanted to do that in conjunction with this and then make more money with it, this would be awesome for you. There's also asset rental. Another path to this is physical assets with an online business. So that could be boring little businesses. I love boring little businesses like parking lot striping. I love parking lot striping. It's so unsexy, if you pardon the phrase, because nobody thinks about it. And yet businesses and shopping malls need it all the time, right? Eventually the striping just kind of gets worn off and somebody has to come out and touch it up. And that's a decent amount of a decent rate. There's not that many people doing it. It takes a small amount of equipment. You personally don't actually have to get the job. You just have to know who's got the equipment and who's willing to do the work for the rate that I want to pay and how much do I need to charge. Well, we've got automation to handle the charging, right? So we can train you for all of that. So for things like maid service, we can put together a calculator that charges automatically based on the bedroom, automatically increases it in, let's say, wealthier homes where they have bigger rooms and maybe higher expectations. We can put in all of that and basically, so that you don't even have to do that, right? People come in, they place the order, you just have to route the order, and even that can be automated. So you've got wedding rentals and bounce houses and dumpsters and porta potties and self-storage and all of those kind of asset rental combined with a business. So the asset rental, like self-storage, could be, let's say, making your own sort of mini Airbnb just for garage space. That's an option. We could help you do that. And so, by the way, my big agenda in all of this, we can make this class very affordable because our big agenda is we make the software that makes a lot of this possible. So my big agenda is that you're going to try our software. You're going to start a business, you're going to be successful with it, and then you're going to buy our software. That's my big agenda. And so I want to give you the strategies for very, very little money, and I hope that you'll stick around and make money with it. And that's the only way I succeed, and the only way you're going to keep our software is if you're making some money with it. I know that. So I want to help you. All right, so what we'll do is we'll also talk about like getting your first 1 client, then 10 clients, then 100 clients, then 1,000 clients, okay? So at the beginning, it needs to feel really small. You're going to be like, I hate this guy. Why is he telling me to go after 1 client? Because you have to know precisely, down to the house level, who is your ideal client. Once you have 1 client, then we'll go get 10, then we'll get 100, then we'll get 1,000, then you'll get 10,000, then you'll get 100,000, right? You'll actually start growing it from there. But we have to start at really, really small. So we're going to also talk about in this class, which path should you take? So I've mentioned rank and rent versus drop servicing, that kind of thing. I'm going to help you choose, and it's going to be based on your strengths. Like, are you a hugs and handshake kind of person? In which case, you're good on the phone and actually good meeting people. In that case, you might want to be, let's say, a local leader where you're facilitating deals and connecting people and making money from that path. If you are expert already within a certain industry, let's say you already work as a veterinarian or a veterinarian tech, and so what you could do is get veterinarian house calls for, let's say, pet euthanasia, right? That's a whole business, and they'll come to your house, and you need to have the vets, and vets who are currently working a day job but could use some extra side hustle money and are happy to make some money, they'd be happy to take those orders, and it's actually better for the pet, right? So sorry to be dark, but right, it's a service that people need. So in all of this, we're going to focus on the boring businesses that always make money. If you want to be a rock star, you want to be a movie star, this is not that, okay? We are just focused on the stuff that always makes money, even in a down economy. So what we'll do is we'll also talk about kind of the specifics how to. So in some of the later classes, Unit 4, what we'll do is we'll actually do screen sharing, and I'll really show you the nitty gritty of here's how I look for a domain, and here's how I look for what's good, and here are the tools that I use. So I'm going to be kind of not holding back and showing you, like, here's some really great properties. There are so many out there, I can't digest them all. I don't have the bandwidth. We have a whole team, and I love my team, and they're awesome, and that kind of thing. We can't go after all of the opportunity. And furthermore, your strengths are different than mine. You know things about certain industries that I don't know, and so you're going to have an advantage in a certain industry that I don't even know anything about. Last, we'll talk about like how to handle the actual the order, and then what we'll do is we'll kind of help you get that business up off the ground. Now, on the next step, there is a next step, and there's a webinar, and I encourage you to check out the webinar. If you choose to do that, we will guarantee that you get a business going if we have to pick you up and drag you over the finish line. Meaning, like, we want to make sure that you get that. If not, if you see the next video and that's not for you, totally cool. My big agenda is that you get software, is to sell software that makes your life better. And again, the only way that works is if you are successful and have a business that's making you money. I want to help you stop selling your time. I want to help you escape, and I want to help you have a path towards some wealth. And the wealth compounds. Will this make you $1 billion? Nope, it's not. Will it even make you $100 million? Probably not. Will it make you 7 figures? It can definitely put you on that path, right? Is it easy enough to build an asset up and sell it for $23,000? Yes, it is. If you get a lead generation website that's kicking out some money, there are let's say you built a painting company, right? And it's acehousepainters.com, and it's a bunch of painters, and then you flip that to a house paint company. Do you think they'd pay some money for it because they got a network of people who are going to use their paints? It's a strategic acquisition at that point. These are the types of things that I want you to think about, and it ultimately comes back to the basics of online real estate. I'll see you on the class. Learn more and start the class at dayjobquitkit.com.